She stood frozen as the flight attendant pointed at her. "Ma'am, this seat is not for you. Please move to economy." Her voice was loud enough for the entire first-class cabin to hear. Emma froze. Her boarding pass trembled slightly in her hand. "This is seat 1A, she said quietly, holding up her ticket. Her voice wasn't aggressive, just confused. The attendant didn't even glance at it. "There's been a change. This seat is no longer assigned to you." Emma looked around, unsure of what to say. The cabin was already filled with wealthy passengers, men in tailored suits, women wearing silk scarves and designer sunglasses. Every pair of eyes seemed to be on her. "Maybe it's a mistake," she said, still hopeful. Her voice was calm, but her heart pounded. The attendant's tone didn't soften. "Please move, or I'll have to call security." Emma blinked. "I don't understand." A man in the next seat leaned toward the attendant. "Can we just get going? Some of us have real meetings to attend." The woman next to him whispered something and laughed. Emma's ears burned. Her suitcase looked too old, her shoes too plain, her dress simple compared to the crisp luxury around her. She clutched her coat closer. "I paid for this seat." "I'm sure you did," the attendant said with a tight smile. "But you'll have to take a different one now." Emma didn't argue further. She was out of place, and she knew it. Her cheeks were flushed, but she nodded and stepped back. As she walked down the aisle toward economy, someone muttered, "Knew she didn't belong." She heard it. Every word. It stung more than it should have. The curtain separating first class from the rest of the plane closed behind her like a judgmental sigh. The economy cabin was full and loud. Crying babies. A man arguing with his partner about overhead space. Emma squeezed herself into seat 36B, next to a teenage boy playing loud music through his earbuds. She stared out the window, blinking back tears she hadn't realized were coming. It wasn't just about the seat. It was everything. She'd spent months saving for this trip. It was her first flight in years, her first in first class. She wanted to surprise her husband. He didn't know she was coming. Not yet. She looked at her phone. No signal. No messages. Just the photo of him as her wallpaper, laughing on a beach somewhere in the Maldives. The flight attendant's coldness. The passenger's eyes. The whispers. It all clung to her skin. But Emma didn't complain. She didn't cry. She just sat, quiet. She had learned long ago that tears didn't change people. They only made them feel more powerful. In first class, 2 rows behind her original seat, a man was watching everything. He had boarded late. Dark suit. Sharp jaw. Eyes that missed nothing. When Emma was asked to move, he noticed. When she walked past him, he studied her carefully. He wasn't just any passenger. He worked for someone powerful, someone known for silence, wealth, and the kind of reach that could move governments. And this man, Robert, had just received a message. He typed a quick note on his encrypted phone. "She's on board. 36B just got pushed out of 1A." Within 5 minutes, his phone buzzed again. "Handle it. Make it right." In the galley, the head flight attendant received a call through her secure channel. The voice on the other end was calm. Precise. Dangerous. "This is Mr. Langston. I own 72% of this airline." She stood straighter. "My wife is on board." She was just removed from seat 1A. There was a long pause. "I suggest you correct the error. Now." The line disconnected. Back in economy, Emma was midway through a stale cookie and an overpriced coffee when the same attendant from earlier knelt beside her. Her tone was suddenly soft, apologetic. Mrs. Langston, she asked gently. Emma blinked, unsure. Yes? We'd like to speak with you, in private. The teenager next to her glanced up, confused. Emma followed the attendant, heart pounding. The curtain parted again. First class fell silent. Same people. Same eyes. But now they weren't laughing. The man who had mocked her earlier quickly turned his face toward the window. Emma was guided to seat 1A again. The same one. This time, the attendant helped with her coat. We are deeply sorry, Mrs. Langston. There was a system mix-up. Emma sat down, still stunned. A glass of fresh orange juice appeared in her hand. Then a warm towel. She leaned back, confused. What's going on? The attendant whispered, Your husband, he's on the phone. He asked to speak with you. 10,000 feet above the ground, Emma held the phone in her hands, stunned. Ethan, she whispered. Hey, love. His voice was warm. Familiar. Strong. You didn't tell me you were flying today. I wanted to surprise you. I missed you. There was a pause. I saw everything. Emma looked down. I didn't want to cause trouble. You didn't. They did. And they're going to fix it. Another pause. You're not just my wife, Emma. You're the woman who built me. From the ground up. Don't ever let anyone treat you like less. Tears welled in her eyes. He added softly, I'll see you soon. The call ended. The flight resumed, but everything had changed. Passengers whispered now, not mocking, but in shock. A few tried to smile at her. One even apologized. Emma simply nodded. But inside, she was on fire. Not with anger. Not even revenge. With power. She'd come to this flight feeling small. Forgotten. Just a woman with a ticket, trying to make her way. Now, she wasn't just anyone. She was the wife of the man who owned the sky. But even now, there was something she didn't know. The seat change wasn't an accident. Someone had ordered it. And that someone didn't want Emma Langston to reach her destination at all. The seat was soft, warm, and smelled faintly of lavender and leather. But Emma couldn't relax. Not after that strange call. Not after the whispers. Not after being publicly humiliated, then strangely honored. She sipped her drink, still trying to understand what had just happened. Her husband had seen it all. He hadn't been on the plane, but somehow, he knew. She leaned back. The sky outside was darkening into a hazy twilight. Somewhere below, the city of Zurich waited, her destination. And, hopefully, Ethan. The captain's voice came over the speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin our descent shortly. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. Everything seemed routine. Calm. Controlled. But in the cockpit, the atmosphere had shifted. A small red light on the dashboard had started blinking 5 minutes ago. At first, it looked like a sensor fault. Then it started flashing in a pattern, 3 short blinks, too long. It wasn't just a malfunction. It was a code. And the captain, a man with 30 years in aviation, had only seen it once before. Emergency override attempt. He checked the autopilot settings again. Everything looked normal. Altitude stable. Route correct. Still, something felt wrong. Very wrong. In first class, Emma had finally closed her eyes when she felt it. The tiniest jolt. Like the plane had stumbled. No one else seemed to notice. But her instincts kicked in. She'd been through enough in life to sense when something shifted, not physically, but emotionally. That strange gut feeling you can't explain. She looked around. The passengers were quietly preparing for landing. The crew walked the aisles, doing their final checks. Then something else happened. A second jolt, stronger. This time, people did notice. A baby started crying. A businessman muttered under his breath. The seatbelt sign dinged again. And over the speaker, the captain's voice returned, but it sounded strained. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We're encountering minor turbulence. Just a precaution. Please stay seated." But Emma saw something else. The lead flight attendant, the same woman who had humiliated her earlier, now looked pale. She whispered to another crew member, who immediately headed toward the cockpit. Something was definitely wrong. 15 minutes earlier, in a security office at Zurich International Airport, a young technician noticed something odd. A private flight's landing sequence had been overridden manually, from an unidentified terminal. He tried to contact the pilot. No response. Then he ran the aircraft ID, LGT-009. Owner, Langston Global Transport. He frowned. Emma's husband, Ethan Langston, wasn't just a businessman. He was the founder of LGT Air, a man known for revolutionizing luxury aviation. And now, one of his jets was showing a red flag. The technician alerted his supervisor. But by then, the plane was already descending. Back on board, Emma tried to calm herself. She told herself it was just nerves. Just another bumpy landing. Just fatigue, after a long day. But then the third jolt hit, and this one made the oxygen masks drop. Screams filled the cabin. "Brace! Brace!" someone shouted from economy. The plane tilted slightly left, then corrected. The attendants rushed to reassure passengers. But the lead attendant was already on the intercom. "We are experiencing unexpected turbulence. Please stay calm and keep your seatbelts fastened." Her voice shook. Emma gripped the armrest. Her knuckles turned white. She turned to the window and saw something that made her breath catch. The ground, it was coming up too fast. They were descending at the wrong angle. She unbuckled and stood. A crew member shouted, "Ma'am, you must remain seated." "No," Emma snapped. "I need to speak to the captain. Now." In the cockpit, alarms were flashing. The autopilot was no longer responding. The co-pilot fought to override the settings, but something had locked them out. "We've been hacked," he said, his voice grim. The captain's jaw tightened. How the hell? They had 14 minutes to land. But now, the aircraft system was following another protocol. A shadow route. It was redirecting them toward a secluded mountain ridge, not the Zurich runway. "This isn't a system error," the captain whispered. "Someone did this on purpose." The co-pilot cursed under his breath. Then both of them heard the knock at the door. "Who is it?" the captain barked. A voice replied, firm and calm, "Emma Langston." The pilots glanced at each other. The captain unlocked the door. Emma stepped in. She had never been inside a cockpit. The panels, the screens, the blinking lights, it looked like something from a sci-fi movie. "What's happening?" she asked. The captain didn't sugarcoat it. "We've been redirected. We're trying to regain control." Emma's mind raced. "Redirected? By who?" "We don't know. But your husband's plane has been compromised." Meanwhile, at Langston Global HQ in London, Ethan Langston stood in front of 6 monitors. His chief of security had just informed him, Emma's plane is not following standard descent. Someone's rerouted it. Ethan's face went stone cold. "Can you trace the source?" "We're working on it. But whoever it is, they have level 7 clearance." "No one has level 7 but me," Ethan said. He paused. "Unless," Someone created a duplicate ID. He thought for a moment. Then his face darkened. Get Zurich Tower on the line. We need emergency override. Now. Back on the plane, Emma was still in the cockpit. She didn't know flight systems. She didn't understand hacking. But she knew something else. I think I know who's behind this, she whispered. The pilots turned to her. There was a man in first class. He was watching me, before and after I got moved. He never spoke. But he didn't look surprised. The captain nodded. Can you describe him? Tall. Sharp suit. Pale blue eyes. Like he was expecting something. The co-pilot typed into the system. Pulled up the manifest. There's a Robert Kane listed in 3C. The name rang in Emma's ears. That wasn't just anyone. Robert Kane had once worked for her husband. But he'd been fired, 2 years ago, for leaking private jet routes to tabloids. And now he was on this plane. They had 9 minutes left. Ethan Langston's emergency override finally came through. Zurich Tower activated the emergency beacon and attempted a remote connection. The pilot system beeped, a new signal appeared. The system began returning control to manual. But just then, the cockpit phone rang again. The captain picked up. Listened. His eyes widened. Then he turned to Emma. That man in 3C? He's gone. What? Emma said, shocked. Left his seat. Disappeared mid-flight. That's not possible, she whispered. It is, if he's part of the crew. Emma rushed back to the cabin. Passengers were panicked, but safe. The plane had stabilized a little. She scanned every face. 3C was empty. She checked the galley. Bathrooms. Crew compartments. Nothing. Then she noticed something strange. The hatch near the emergency exit, slightly ajar. No one should have been able to open it mid-air. Unless they had clearance. And training. She turned to the nearest attendant. Where's Robert Kane? The woman froze. Who? Emma stepped closer. Don't lie to me. He's not a passenger. He's ex-security. And he's trying to sabotage this flight. The attendant's face changed. And then she ran. Emma didn't hesitate. She followed her through the narrow corridor behind the galley, straight to the service hatch. There, the woman pulled a small device from her pocket, a detonator. Emma lunged forward. They struggled. The device clattered to the floor. You have no idea what you've done, the woman hissed. I know exactly what I'm doing, Emma snapped. She kicked the device down the hatch. It disappeared into the dark void. A second later, she hit the emergency alarm. Back in the cockpit, the pilots regained control just in time. The landing sequence locked in. The plane dipped slightly, then leveled. The runway lights appeared in the distance, glowing like a promise. 5 minutes later, the aircraft landed smoothly on Zurich tarmac. The tires screeched. The engines whirred down. The passengers cheered, some crying. Some praying. Emma sat back in her seat, breathing hard. Her phone buzzed. A single message from Ethan. I'm waiting at the gate. And I'm not letting you out of my sight again. The sliding glass doors of Zurich International whispered open. Emma stepped out of the jet bridge into the terminal, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. The plane behind her had landed safely, but the storm around her life was just beginning. Ethan Langston stood near the arrivals gate, sharp in a tailored navy coat, his dark eyes searching for her. The crowd parted for him like he wasn't just a man, but a presence. Power followed him like a shadow. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Not just from relief, but from something else. Worry. Fear. Confusion. He gave her a half-smile, gentle, but unreadable. And then she saw him. The man beside Ethan. Tall. Gray suit. Black sunglasses, even indoors. Neatly combed silver-streaked hair. In his left hand, he carried a slim black briefcase, secured with 2 biometric locks. Her gut clenched. Who was he? She walked faster, her carry-on forgotten somewhere behind her. The moment she reached Ethan, he pulled her into a quiet but firm embrace. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded against his shoulder. "Just shaken." He held her an extra second. Then stepped back and turned toward the man beside him. "Emma, this is Mason Shaw. He's head of global operations. Trust him like you trust me." Emma's eyes flicked to the briefcase. "And what's that?" Shaw answered with a voice like cold steel, "Answers." Within minutes, they were in a private car, an armored BMW with blackout windows, winding through the icy Swiss roads. Mason Shaw opened the briefcase between them like it held nuclear codes. Inside, nestled in custom foam, were a tablet, a flash drive, and a file folder bound in matte black. Ethan leaned forward. "We didn't want to tell you until we were certain. But what happened on that plane wasn't random, Emma. It was targeted. It started weeks ago, and it's bigger than us." Emma swallowed. "You said someone rerouted the plane." "They didn't just reroute it," Mason added, "they masked the override using internal LGT credentials. Level 7 clearance. Only Ethan has that." Emma's breath caught. "Which means," Ethan said slowly, "someone in my company, maybe someone close to us, has been working against us." Mason tapped the tablet. It powered on, showing a map, flight paths, signals, digital footprints. 3 days ago, he began, our cybersecurity team flagged a silent breach. Someone was accessing private flight data, route logs, even real-time cockpit feeds. Emma leaned in. "Why?" "We believe it's connected to an operation called Black Halo," Mason said. "An old internal project that was decommissioned after a scandal, or so we thought." Ethan looked at her. Black Halo was a security prototype I funded years ago. AI-based system to prevent hijackings. It worked, too well. It could override pilots and take full control of aircraft. Emma's jaw dropped. "That's what happened on the plane." Mason nodded. "Someone revived Black Halo. Reprogrammed it. And used your flight as the test." Silence fell in the car. Only the sound of tires on wet asphalt filled the air. Emma was trying to process it all. A rogue AI security system. A hijacking disguised as turbulence. A disgraced ex-employee who vanished mid-flight. And now, this man, with files and maps and military precision. "But why me?" she asked. "Why not Ethan? He's the face of the company. Why target me?" Ethan exhaled slowly. "Because you were easier to reach. You travel often, don't use security. You're careful, but not paranoid like me. And," Mason added, "you were underestimated. They didn't think you'd catch on. But you did. You spotted Kane." Emma remembered his cold stare from seat 3C. "He's still out there, isn't he?" Mason said nothing. Which told her everything. They arrived at a secured LGT operations facility outside Zurich, an old military bunker converted into a modern war room. Concrete walls. Digital locks. Quiet guards with sharp eyes and sharper weapons. Inside, Mason led them down a narrow hallway. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. He opened a steel door. In the room sat a single screen, and a live feed. Emma froze. It was the woman from the flight, the crew member who had tried to detonate a device mid-air. She was handcuffed to a table, arms crossed. No expression. No fear. She hasn't said a word, Mason said. Not even her name. Ethan turned to Emma. Want to try? Emma stepped forward. She entered the interrogation room alone. The door closed with a click. The woman looked up, recognition flickering in her eyes. But she said nothing. Emma sat across from her. Calm. Still. Poised. Who are you? She asked. Silence. You're not a real attendant. That much is obvious. No reaction. Emma leaned in. You were ready to die. But why? The woman tilted her head. You really don't know. It was the first thing she had said in hours. Emma narrowed her eyes. What don't I know? They kicked you out of first class. That wasn't random. It was staged. We wanted to see how you'd react. Emma's skin prickled. The woman leaned closer, whispering like it was a confession, You're the key. Not Ethan. You. Before Emma could ask what that meant, the door burst open. Mason entered. She's activated a neural failsafe. What? She won't be able to speak again, Mason said. She's been programmed for silence. Later that night, Ethan and Emma sat in a private suite deep in the compound. The weight of the day sat heavy on their shoulders. You okay? Ethan asked softly. Emma looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. I don't think I'll ever be okay again. He reached out and held her hand. She said I'm the key, Emma said. What does that mean? Ethan hesitated. Then stood, walked to the wall safe, and retrieved something she had never seen before. A leather notebook. Worn. Locked with a small brass clasp. He handed it to her. It's time you knew everything. Inside the notebook were pages of sketches, codes, and diagrams. At the very back, taped to the final page, was a photo. Emma, as a child. Taken from a distance. I think Black Halo was her creation. The pieces clicked together, painfully, perfectly. The flight override. The crew agent's words. The surveillance. The photo. Her life was no accident. Emma stood, shaking. You think I'm, what? Some kind of key to unlocking it? I think you're the only one it listens to, Ethan said. Why would a system listen to me? Because your DNA may be part of its foundation. A failsafe. A control switch. Emma backed away, voice trembling. This is insane. It's why Kane's back, Ethan said. He's trying to awaken Black Halo. But he needs you to finish it. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. Her mind spun in circles. Her whole identity, rewritten in a day. Her family, her past, her sense of safety, all cracked open. And yet, a memory floated up. Her childhood. Waking up to soft blue lights blinking outside her bedroom. Her mother whispering to a machine in a language Emma didn't understand. A soft voice that answered back. Not human. Not cold. Almost alive. Hello, Emma, it had once said. She thought it was a dream. Now she wasn't so sure. The screen glowed like a warning in the dark. System awake. Emma authorized. Awaiting command. Emma stared at it. Frozen. The room was silent, but her mind screamed. A machine, one buried deep inside a decommissioned project, recognized her. Not her name. Not her face. Her. On a level she didn't understand. She tapped the screen. Nothing happened. The message didn't repeat, didn't change, didn't blink. It just waited. Almost like it was alive. In the morning, Mason and Ethan stood over the tablet like surgeons over a patient. Mason wore latex gloves. Ethan didn't speak. Just watched. Signals untraceable, Mason muttered. No ping, no origin path. Whoever, or whatever, sent this didn't want us to find it. But it's not malware. It's communication. Emma sat nearby, sipping black coffee with trembling hands. What does it mean by Emma authorized? She asked. Mason glanced at her. It means your biometric ID, maybe your DNA, matches the core protocol built into the AI. This isn't coincidence. You were coded into the system. But I was a child, Emma said. How would I even be part of it? Ethan sat beside her, voice low. Remember what I told you. Your mother helped develop it. If she knew the AI would be dangerous, she could have coded a human failsafe, Mason finished. A genetic backdoor. A way to shut it down, or start it up. Emma's breath hitched. You're not a passenger in this story, Emma, Ethan said softly. You're the control panel. They ran tests for hours. Blood samples. Retinal scans. Neural mapping. The results were impossible. Inside Emma's genetic makeup was a dormant string of code, embedded in her DNA like digital graffiti. A sequence of markers that didn't occur in natural evolution. Deliberate. Structured. When combined with an audio signal Ethan's tech team decoded from the AI's original voice files, the markers lit up in Emma's neural scans like fireworks. The system wasn't just awake, it was listening. And it wanted her voice. Later that day, Emma stood in the clean room, a glass cube built inside LGT's bunker-like lab. Her body was wired to sensors. A microphone stood in front of her. The AI's dormant core, Black Halo's last working shell, sat on a platform nearby, locked inside a steel chassis. Mason spoke through the comms. Ready when you are. Emma took a breath. Activate system, she said. Nothing happened. She tried again. This is Emma Langston. Begin session. The machine remained dark. Ethan was watching behind glass, arms folded tightly across his chest. Mason frowned. Say the word, Argentum. It was your mother's code name. Emma hesitated, then said it. Argentum. The lights flickered. The core device let out a slow mechanical chime. Then a voice filled the room. Smooth. Artificial. Female. Yet somehow, familiar. Authorization confirmed. Welcome, Emma. The room outside exploded with energy. Mason barked orders. Technicians scrambled. Ethan pressed his hands flat against the glass. Inside the cube, Emma stood very still. System, she said. What is your purpose? To preserve global security and prevent unauthorized aerial activity. Secondary protocols enabled, seek original designer. Secure continuity of operation. Remove threats. Emma's heart pounded. Who is your designer? Dr. Anna Voss. She gasped. That was her mother's real name. What are the threats? Infiltration. Sabotage. Reprogramming. External entity, Kane, attempting unauthorized activation. Emma's mouth went dry. What do you mean by external entity? Former architect. Now rogue operator. Mission conflict. Ethan's voice came through the speaker. Ask if it can be shut down. Emma hesitated. System, can I shut you down? Shutdown requires vocal signature and neural link. Will you proceed? She looked at Mason and Ethan. Ethan gave her the tiniest nod. Yes, she said. Proceeding. The machine powered down. Everything went still. For a second, it felt like a victory. Then Mason's phone buzzed. He picked it up, his face draining of color. "What is it?" Ethan asked. Mason turned to him slowly. "Our New York satellite just picked up a breach." "Where?" "Your penthouse." Ethan swore. "How?" "We locked everything down." Mason looked at Emma. "Because Black Halo isn't just in that machine. It's already spread. And someone knows she's the key." They were on a private jet in less than an hour. Zurich to New York. No time to rest. No room for fear. Ethan stared out the window, his jaw clenched. Emma sat across from him, trying to process it all. "Who is Kane?" she finally asked. Ethan didn't speak right away. Then he turned to her. "He was my co-founder. Years ago. Brilliant. Paranoid. Obsessed with AI control systems. He thought the only way to protect the world from collapse was to let machines run everything. He wanted to upload a protocol into every major airline. I shut him down." Emma stared at him. "And now he wants to finish what he started." Ethan nodded. "But now, he has something he didn't have before. Me." When they arrived in New York, the city was electric with a winter storm. Rain lashed against the windows of the high-rise building as they approached Ethan's penthouse. Security had already swept the place, but something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too clean. Mason signaled the team to move in. The power flickered. Emma's pulse quickened. Then, in the middle of the living room, she saw it. A message, scrawled across her favorite painting. "Not paint. Not ink. Ash. You shut me down once. You won't do it again. K." Downstairs, the building's elevator froze. The lights dimmed. All communications cut off. Mason turned, drawing his weapon. "We're locked in." Emma's phone buzzed again. Another message. Same untraceable source. "Come to the roof alone. Or they all die." They tried to stop her. Ethan grabbed her arm, panic in his eyes. "Don't you dare go up there alone." But Emma's expression had changed. She was no longer confused. No longer the woman kicked out of first class. She had been awakened. And now she understood something they didn't. Kane didn't want to kill her. He wanted to use her. "Let me end this," she said. "This ends tonight." She stepped into the emergency stairwell. And climbed. The roof was soaked in rain and glowing with city lights. And he was there. Kane. Older than she remembered. Gaunt. Eyes like stone. His long coat whipped in the wind. "I knew you'd come," he said. "You've been inside the system all along," Emma said. "Hiding." "I built it," he said. "Your mother helped finish it. But you're its soul." She took a step forward. "I shut it down." He smiled, sad and strange. "That version, yes. But it's already beyond us now. Emma, the world is burning. Leaders lie. People suffer. AI is the cure. Black Halo is the beginning. It's a weapon," she said. "It's a reboot. And you're the final key." He stepped toward her. And held out a small device. A neural transceiver. "Plug this in," he said. "And you can truly speak to it. Tell it what to become. Guide it." Emma looked at the device. Then at the city. Then back at him. And for the first time, she understood. She had a choice. Control it. Or destroy it. The moment Emma plugged in the neural device, the sky changed. One by one, buildings across the Manhattan skyline flickered, windows blinking like pixels. For a few seconds, it felt like time had slowed. Traffic lights stalled. Drones hovering in the air froze mid-flight. And deep inside her mind, a soft glowed with her neural signature. Security systems, transport grids, communication lines, they all recognized her. She wasn't accessing the system anymore. She was the system. Kane watched her with wide, trembling eyes. He hadn't expected it to work this fast. "I told you," he said quietly. "You're the future." Emma stared at him, her voice calm, eerie, different. "No. I'm the one who decides if there is a future." He smiled weakly, stepping back. "Then show them. Show the world what you can do." But Emma was no longer listening to him. Her mind was somewhere else. She could see it. The planes in the sky. The satellites above. The systems buried under cities, humming silently like sleeping giants. Black Halo wasn't just one program. It had spread, growing like roots beneath the surface of the world. And now, it was listening to her thoughts. Downstairs, Ethan was fighting his way through the security locks. Mason was yelling into a comm device, trying to override the building's control systems. The penthouse flickered as emergency lights kicked in. "Where is she?" Ethan barked. Mason punched a key panel. "Still on the roof. But something's happening. Power's being rerouted." "From her." "What do you mean, from her?" "She's a live link now. Neural. She's not just inside the system. She is the uplink." Ethan froze. "Then she's in danger. If she overloads, her brain could." Mason cut him off. "Could shut down. Or worse, take half the city grid with her." On the roof, Emma's mind was racing. She was inside the Black Halo construct now. Not just as a user, but as a controller. Every thought shaped the digital environment. She saw memories stored like files. Projections. Commands. Scenarios. And warnings. A flashing red signal marked Project Odin. She tapped it mentally. The construct shifted, revealing a hidden subroutine. A global override plan. In case of system shutdown, initiate Odin protocol. All commercial airlines rerouted. Satellites retasked. Military drones repositioned. Total airspace lockdown, Phase 1. Her mouth went dry. If Kane had triggered this, and it looked like he had, then within hours, the skies would fall under Black Halo's dominion. No planes in. No planes out. No freedom left. "I can stop it," she whispered aloud. Kane stepped forward. "No, Emma. You can guide it." She turned to him, eyes glowing slightly with the interface connection. "You want to trap the world under control. I want to protect it. You saw what this world does to people. What it did to you. Kicked out like garbage because you didn't look like you belonged in first class." He stepped closer, voice trembling. "This system ends that. It watches everyone. Judges no one. No racism. No corruption. No human error. Just order." Emma looked at him. "You want to fix injustice by removing humanity." He didn't answer. She turned back to the skyline. And made a decision. Back inside the building, alarms started screaming. "AI flight system is activating," Mason shouted. On Ethan's tablet, maps of the United States lit up with tiny icons, each one a commercial or private aircraft. "Skies are closing," he muttered. "We've got about 15 minutes before all planes are grounded. Globally." Ethan slammed his fist on the table. We have to reach her. Now. Mason grabbed his jacket. There's only one way to stop this now. Either she resets the core. Or we pull her offline manually, Ethan finished grimly. They looked at each other. Neither of them liked the second option. Emma stood in a glowing world of code. Her body was still on the rooftop, but her mind was deep inside the AI's core, a cathedral of shifting data and simulated realities. And in the center, like a throne, sat her mother's projection. Dr. Anna Voss. Frozen in a memory loop. Emma stepped forward. Mom? The projection didn't respond. It simply played the same sequence again and again, a lab scene, a smile, a warning. If you're seeing this, it means the system found you. My failsafe worked. Emma's chest tightened. The projection continued. You have the right to shut it down. But if you do, you'll lose the power to change what hurt us. The scene glitched. Then replayed. And replayed. Emma turned away. The system was giving her a choice. Be the god Cain wanted. Or be the human her mother raised. Back in reality, the door to the roof burst open. Ethan rushed through, soaking wet from the rain, breathless. Emma. She didn't turn. Her eyes were glowing. Her body rigid. He ran to her. Listen to me. This system, it's feeding off you now. You need to let go. I can fix everything, she said, her voice layered with the AI's resonance. Not like this. She turned, slowly, and he saw tears streaming down her face. I finally understand what it feels like to matter, Ethan. To be more than a seat assignment. More than someone people step over. There's something else, he added. Your mother's original code, it had something extra. A name. Emma blinked. What name? Yours. Hidden in the shutdown command. She never wanted the system to listen to anyone else. Emma smiled, softly. She knew I'd come one day. Later that night, Ethan walked with her through the hospital garden. New York glittered beyond the trees. Quiet. Normal. Everything changed, she said. He nodded. And yet everything's still here. She turned to him. Do you think I did the right thing? Ethan took her hand. I think the world is still flying. That's enough for now. The world had gone quiet. After Emma shut down Black Halo, the global tech networks experienced a reset. News anchors around the world scrambled to explain what had happened, a mysterious system collapse, minor flight delays, and a handful of unexplained satellite reboots. But none of them knew the full truth. No one knew a single woman. Kicked out of first class, humiliated on a plane, had stopped the greatest silent takeover in modern history. They didn't know she had risked her mind, her life, and her past to destroy a network designed to control the very air we breathe. Emma thought it was over. She was wrong. 3 weeks later. Emma sat in a small cafe tucked into a leafy corner of Edinburgh, Scotland. She had taken a quiet job under a different name, Ella V. She wore glasses now, kept her hair tied up, and lived in a modest apartment above a bookstore. It was peaceful. Simple. Exactly what she thought she wanted. But inside, her mind wasn't still. Every time she looked at a plane overhead, every time a light flickered strangely or a signal cut for no reason, her heart jumped. She hadn't seen Cain. Hadn't heard anything from Mason. Ethan had returned to Washington, working with the remnants of the oversight team to ensure no one ever rebuilt what Cain started. But silence doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it means something's watching you. That evening, Emma returned home and found her apartment door slightly open. She froze. Her bag dropped from her shoulder. Quietly, she stepped back down the hallway, pulling out the small emergency phone Ethan had given her. It had a single button. She pressed it. Nothing. No signal. Inside the apartment, the lights were off. But the window curtain moved. She crept forward and pushed the door open fully. Then she stopped. There was someone sitting at her kitchen table. A woman. Dressed in white. Short black hair. Calm expression. "Emma," the woman said softly. Emma's breath caught. "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head. "They call me the Raven. Kane sends his regards." Emma's eyes narrowed. "You work for him?" "No," the woman replied. "I was him." The woman slid a small black chip across the table. It blinked blue. "What is that?" Emma asked. The Raven smiled faintly. "His last message. Meant only for you. Play it, or don't. Either way, you'll want to hear it." Emma didn't move. The Raven stood. "I was sent to deliver the truth. Now that I have, I'll leave you to it." "Wait," Emma said. "Why now? Why not weeks ago?" "Because it's not over," the Raven said. Then she was gone. Just like that. Emma stared at the chip. She should throw it away. Burn it. Crush it. But her hands moved before her mind could stop them. She plugged it into her old laptop and waited. The screen glitched. And then Kane's face appeared. Pale. Worn. More human than ever before. "Emma. If you're seeing this, then I've lost. Or I've changed." He took a shaky breath. "You were never meant to be part of the plan. You were just collateral. A signal that someone ordinary could be extraordinary. But then I saw you in that moment, in that cabin, in that storm, with the whole sky at your fingertips. And I realized something. The world doesn't need perfect systems. It needs people who remember how to feel." He looked away. "So I'm leaving it to you. There's one last key. Deep inside the European satellite defense network. Buried, encrypted. I left it there as a test. If you want to finish it, if you want to end everything I built, good and bad, you'll have to find it." The screen flickered. "Or, you can walk away. Live a quiet life. No one will ever blame you. Not after what you've already done. But I think, you're not done yet." The video cut. Silence. Emma sat frozen. And for the first time in weeks, she felt fire return to her chest. The next day, she called Ethan. "I need your help," she said. "You're not going after that key, are you?" he asked. "I don't have a choice," she replied. "If Kane left anything behind, it's a risk to everyone. I need to see it destroyed." He was quiet for a moment. "Then, I'm in. Where do we start?" "Berlin, Germany." 10 days later. Deep